I was like planning my exit from my company. You know, I had my company for 12 years. One of them, my shoe company, I still have it in business. It's actually moving to Ghana now. So I had raised $7 million. We were scaling fast, we were growing, and then we ran out of money. And it was like a very difficult time for me because everything that I had built just got put on hold and a halt. For like couples, you know, retired people, people with kids. But I'm a single empty nester. I'm trying to kick it. My daughter was like, Mom, can you come back home? Ghana really like drove that home for me.
So before that, how were you?
Like holiday, work free, no email, no phones, no meetings. That never happened to me in 23 years.
What do you think the impatience costed you over the years? You've thought it through, and you've brought in builders who are qualified, you know, not just some builders, some random builders say, yeah, I can put some bricks up or blocks up and I can. So tell us a little bit about how you got into that and why you're so meticulous with your development.
I'm here for my legacy. I'm doing the work. Everybody can eat the cake. I don't care. These black people in Ghana, they go buy land and put a house on it. Where do you do that in America?
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to Maximum Impact with Jay Cameron here in Accra, Ghana at ABA Design and Collection. So whenever you're in East Legon, make sure you stop by and check out some of what they have to offer. And of course, ABA Luxe Beauty Salon, you can stop by there as well. Now, today, I have the exclusive, right? The exclusive. We've been waiting for this interview for a while. My friend Dawn is here. And she's been in Accra, but you're everywhere. I mean, I saw you.
You.
That's true. That's true. But I saw you in Rwanda. I saw you in a RV somewhere in the States.
Yes.
So you're back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. But before we get there, this lady right here, she's been featured on so many podcasts for her business acumen and her success in the business arena. But now she has come to Accra, Ghana, and she's delving into fashion, real estate, and just the whole scene. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. And this is just a conversation. I don't have any questions rehearsed or written down. And that's just kind of the vibe that we have. So today we have the Dawn Dickson in the house. Welcome.
Thank you. It's definitely an honor to be here, you know. Definitely a fan of yours and happy to be your friend, but definitely ready to get into this combo, just chatting, letting them, you know, get to know me a little bit.
Okay, well, that's why I wanted to have you here, because I want people to know you. You know, sometimes they might see you on social media. I've seen you on different podcasts when you were talking about your tech company and some of the different things involved with that. And then I'll see you out on the social scene in Ghana with your fashions from our guy, Elikim. So I see you there. I see you building different homes in Rwanda or working with that. And then, of course, assisting me here in Accra with my real estate investment. And then I'm trying to think where else I've seen you. I've just seen you around Ghana. But then, like I said, I'll see you in an RV in the States. So you're telling me I'm in Ohio, I'm in Atlanta, I'm doing this.
I drove that RV from Los Angeles to Columbus, Ohio. So I hit like 7 or 8 states on a nice road trip.
And you lived in it?
I did. I stayed in it. It was a fully converted, you know, tiny home on wheels, but I sold it. So now it was just like my last hurrah for the U.S. So I'm not really back and forth anymore. I'm really just rooted myself on the continent between Ghana and Rwanda. But while I was tying up loose ends in the States, I was going back and forth more than I wanted to. Okay. But now I'm here. Like now, this is it for me. So
the question, I'm sure, for those who are not familiar with your story, how is it that you go from being in tech and being successful in tech and then ending up in real estate in Ghana and Rwanda? How did that all evolve?
I want to try to make it real short. So for tech, you know, I was in tech since 2000. I went to school for information technology. So I told myself when I was young, like I'm only going to do this for 25 years. I want to retire from my career at 45. I said this when I was 20.
Okay.
So the time came, time flies.
It flies.
And so as I was approaching, like when I turned 40, I'm like, oh, what's the plan? You're going to be 45 in 5 years. It's time to retire. What are you going to do after this? And meaning retirement meant for me just shifting from working in a career and to working on what I want to work on, my passion projects, doing things that I want to do, not doing things that I have to do. Like I gave myself 25 years to do what I had to do so I could do what I want to do. So I knew I wanted to live on the continent. I knew that for sure. All my life decisions were in that path, even as far as like who I married. I married a Nigerian because I definitely knew I wanted to get over to this continent. So like everything I was doing leading up to it, it wasn't like a rash decision. It's something that I wanted to do all my life, but I had to just plan because I have, a daughter and everything. So I was like planning my exit from my company. I had my company for 12 years. One of them, my shoe company, I still have it in business. It's actually moving to Ghana now. But my tech company, I knew like, I don't want to be a CEO. I don't want to be grow my business to be a publicly traded company. Like I just want to do me. So God has an interesting way of just answering your prayers.
Sure
and how he wants to answer them. So I kept saying like, I'm ready to be done with this, but I didn't know how I was going to get out. Sometimes you're so deep in your own business. Like, how do you quit your own business? How do you like write a letter and say, hey, I'm resigning? It's your business.
In 2 weeks.
Right. So unfortunately, my company ran out of capital in the venture capital market, like dried up. So I had raised $7 million. We were scaling fast, we were growing, and then we ran out of money. And it was like a very difficult time for me because everything that I had built just got put on hold and a halt. But at the same time, my life on the continent was starting to blossom.
Okay.
So it's like it had to end so this new thing can begin. So when my company ran out of capital, then I was selling the company. And so it's been in the process of acquisition since then. So then when I'm no longer CEO and I got exactly what I asked for, I'm just like, okay, what do I do now? I had money that I saved. I was ready.
Okay.
I was in a great financial place. My daughter graduated and she was in college. So I'm like, okay, what am I going to do? And so I said, I'm just going to go to Ghana and Rwanda and like buy real estate for myself. So like you, I share my journey.
Yeah.
And so it was a personal journey. It was very personal for me, just finding land, connecting with the continent, connecting with my roots. And I was sharing it on Instagram. But since I have so many people that follow me, so many investors that have invested in me or that I work with, over 10,000 people invested in my company. So they're looking at me for investment things. So they started reaching out to me like, I see you buying land in Ghana. I want to buy land. I see you buying a farm in Rwanda. How do I do it? And so I said, okay, well, I can help you. Sure. I'm in the thick of it. Sure, I can help you so you don't make these same mistakes. A lot of people get scammed around here, as we've talked about multiple times.
Yeah.
So for me, it's like my passion to help people to land safely on the continent and be able to do trustworthy business. So I just kind of like landed in real estate from me helping people, and it turned into a career here because I just didn't want to see anybody else get scammed. So I said, okay, let me just do it then.
So you started in Rwanda or you started in Ghana?
So I lived in Rwanda first.
Okay.
And so I bought my farm in Rwanda before I bought my land in Ghana. Then I came to Ghana in 2022, December. And I bought my land here in April 2023. So it was kind of happening at the same time. And I still, I have my residence in both. So I consider myself like bi-coastal because I'm Ghana and Rwanda, but I was there first. I visited Ghana first in 2019, year of the return. I'm a year of the return. I'm a year of the return,
you're a baby of the year.
I'm a year of the return, baby. Okay, it worked. So I was the first time I visited, but I actually started, and then I invested in a tech company here in 2020, yeah, called Jar to Go. And so I was like doing business here, but I wasn't living here. And then I came in 2022 to party in December.
Yeah, I was wondering if it was in December. Okay.
I mean, I did it in 2019 and I said, okay, I like it. But then I came back in 2022 and said, okay, I can
you were grown
stay.
by 2022. Not 2019, it was your senses were all...
Yeah, I was just like, the dungeons, the this, that, the jollof, fufu, banku. Like, okay, now calm down.
And now you came with 2022 and it was going down.
And I was like, okay, I can live here. It's different. You travel all over the world.
Yes.
I'm sure you enjoy many countries, but you can't live there.
There's some I can. I was just thinking yesterday, I was in South Africa yesterday, and I said, where are the places I could live? I said, I could live in South Africa, and of course I could live in Ghana.
Yeah.
And I said that based upon me being the familiarity with South Africa. That's what that is. I could do that part of it, but Ghana has this thing. Ghana has my heart, even with all the challenges and everything.
Ghana cray, but I love it. Like, I am addicted to Ghana. I love Ghana and I want to be here. All kinds of crazy stuff happens.
Sure does.
And then I still be like, I want to be here. Like, it's like an abusive relationship. Like, Ghana beats me up, and then I'm like, but babe, I love you. But babe, please.
That's real. I've said that before. I've said it's like you're in some kind of relationship. Yes, you don't know what's going on, and you're like, ah.
But I believe in Ghana. I see the potential.
There's so much potential.
It feels so familiar. You know, there's a lot of differences, but a lot of similarities.
Yeah.
And I connected with Ghana more than any other country that I've been to. Out of the 35 I've been to so far,
I agree.
Ghana felt the most like home. Other places I was vibing with, I liked. Yeah. But Ghana made it number one.
So even more so than Rwanda, because you spent time there.
Yeah, culturally, Rwanda is not familiar. I mean, Rwanda is beautiful, peaceful, clean, safe, very good for business, and it's logical.
Yes.
But it's boring. I know, sorry. Boring. Nightlife, city shuts down at 1 a.m. Like, you know, Ghana, they just leave the house at 1 a.m.
They do.
So the energy is different. You know, Rwanda is calm. It's for like couples, you know, retired people, people with kids. But I'm a single empty nester. I'm trying to kick it.
And we see that your social media does indicate that you still got some life. You got some life.
Very social and very active. So this is more, in Ghana, more aligned with my lifestyle at where I'm at today in my life. Obviously, I will get older, and I see my older years being more spent in Rwanda because of the healthcare. Okay. Amazing infrastructure, amazing healthcare.
Yeah, when I went to Rwanda, I was impressed by the infrastructure. Everyone had helmets on their motorcycles.
Don't play.
Yeah, and I mean it is definitely clean. Mm-hmm. It is not overhyped. It's everything that you said. Yes, so for someone considering,
but transparent wise, you're going to be bored. Like, it's not too much to do once you do all the tourist stuff. Like, it's not too much to do but chill.
Yeah, so. I saw it.
Yeah.
So you went from Rwanda, you came to Ghana, and you started December 2022 kicked in, and then you settled into the Ghana vibe. I know you go back and forth, but you settled into the Ghana vibe, and so you mentioned that you're a mom. Mm-hmm. So has your daughter been over? How does that narrative work?
She's been here 4 times, and her 5th time. She'll be here just in a week.
Okay. How does she like it?
She likes it. She has some more time to spend. You know, she sees the good things about it, but she's had a lot of things have happened. Okay. You know, like crazy things she's experienced. She's like, Mom, you need to leave from there. But I'm like, no, it's good. Let me just get stable. So
things that she's watched you go through.
That she's watched me go through things that happened when she was.
Oh, really?
Like, you know, like we're talking like friends. So like, yeah, we were in the Uber, and the Uber just hit a person.
Oh,
and the person hit the windshield.
Oh, wow.
And the windshield cracked, and we're in the Uber, and there's a body on the car. Like, that's traumatizing.
Yeah.
My daughter was like, Mom, can you come back home? Like, this is too much.
Yeah.
Or like, just a lot of crazy things were happening before I really understood the culture, understood how to navigate, before I had built my very strong network of Ghanaian friends. I was having a lot of problems. Now my life is a lot smoother because of my network and because of my friends.
So you were adjusting culturally.
I was adjusting. So she's seen the adjusting part. I'm looking forward to showing her
the adjusted.
The adjusted me.
Right.
Honestly, you said, I got settled to Ghana. I just feel like I just got settled like last month.
It takes time.
Literally 2 years.
It takes time.
Because I didn't even know where I wanted to live. I've lived all over Accra, and I lived in Cape Coast. I lived in East Legon, Airport, Ridge, Chado, Osu. And I lived all over these different neighborhoods, seeing what aligns with me, seeing where I like. I lived in Asylum Down. I was moving all over. It was very unstable.
But you know what? There's something to say about that, because there's so many people who come over and they're expecting, say, like a utopia, and they're impatient with the process. Sometimes you got to go through the process.
Oh, it taught me patience. Ghana beat me into submission. I mean, it taught me patience. And I'm actually looking back on the past 2 years, I'm grateful that I'm more patient and more calm and is not so reactive, not so American in my responses to things. So it calmed down my nervous system, or it forces me to, because it's the embodiment of, what you can't control, just let it go. Because you can't hardly control nothing. Interesting. So I had to learn how to hey, if I can't control, let it go. Ghana really drove that home for me.
So before that, how were you?
I'm in control. I'm a CEO, of companies. I've been in control. I'm controlling the situation. And in America, it's pretty easy to have things under control for the most part. True. Because of the way infrastructure set up, business, organization, processes, systems, procedures, you can pretty much get stuff under control. So with that, when you say beat you into submission, some people can hear that as a negative, but it actually sounds like it's a positive. It was a negative and positive, you know? I mean, it's like discipline, right? We're parents, you discipline your children. Okay, no, you discipline them for their good. But during the time of the discipline, is it fun? No. Does it feel good? No. Not at all. Not at all, right. But I needed it for who I want to be for the rest of my life. Okay, now, all right, let's walk that up, because we're talking about who you are. Yeah. And that's what I really want people to kind of walk away with. Because, again, I meet so many people coming to Ghana or other parts of Africa or any other parts of the world, and they have the cultural challenge. Yeah. Where they're learning the culture, or if it's not what they're used to, they automatically check out and I can't do this. It's easy to do. But you were able to somehow have the endurance to go through that. That's the word. So who is the person that you want to be that Ghana has taught you through this beating submission? Okay, calm. Calm. Okay. Not, patient. Patience was not in my vocabulary at all. For the whole 45 years I've been on this planet, I'm not patient. That wasn't a thing. Why? Why do you think you weren't patient? Because why? I want it now. Okay. Because why? Why not? That was my attitude. No, that's real. And I did very well and made millions of dollars and was very successful in America with that attitude, because it's American mentality. But in Ghana, it's I want it now. They're okay, yeah, we're on the way. I'm coming. I'll see you tomorrow. Literally, I'm coming. They won't show up. And I'll see you tomorrow, though. They're not going to say that. So I had to just be let me chill. It's so easy to just get caught up in wanting to do things your way and how you're used to doing things. But I moved to another country. Right. This is another city. It's not like me moving from LA to Atlanta to Miami. This is another country, culture, many tribes, many languages, and then a melting pot of other people coming. So I just had to totally change myself. And I had to be willing to change it. At our age, sometimes you're stuck in your way. Yeah. And that's why people don't make it. They come with this American entitlement, this Western entitlement that is not going to work here in the society or with the people. And I love that about Ghanaians, because they're easygoing. And I never even had a Christmas break, a proper one, since I've been working. Because as you know, when we're in America, when it's holiday break in December, they take off. You're the business owner, and you're working. Yeah, oh yeah. You're checking emails, you're doing calls. I had a job. Remember, I worked for Traco. I had a job during the holiday, and I'm just doing my regular thing. I'm okay, it's holiday, but I'm still going to sell. I'm still doing work. When I tell you, not one single person replied to any of my emails for 2 weeks. When I tell you they on vacation, they're off. They're off. And you just. In the first couple of days, I'm I'm trying to do business. Nobody's answering me. I'm WhatsApping them. I'm talking about never been left on red so many times in my life. And then I said, Dawn, hold on, chill. You can take a vacation. Do you know what it's like to have a Christmas vacation? Wow. Do it. Last year I had my first, and even when I traveled during holiday, I still was working on my laptop. I was still doing meetings, all of that. So there was no vacation. 2023 was my first ever vacation. Well into your 40s. December vacation, holiday, work free, no email, no phones, no meetings. That never happened to me in 23 years.
All right, let's circle back to the impatience. What do you think the impatience costed you over the years? When we come back, the conversation continues. But first, a special message from one of our sponsors. Maximum Impact Travel celebrates the rich history and culture of the African diaspora, connecting travelers to Africa, the Americas, the Caribbean, and Europe. Through carefully curated tours, they showcase the people, traditions, and hidden treasures of these regions, offering unforgettable journeys that honor the beauty and legacy of the African diaspora.
In America, nothing. I got rich. In Ghana, it'll make me have a stroke.
Oh, wow.
Like, literally, you will work yourself up. You know, I don't regret not being patient in the States because they're trained. Like, we know, like, we're programmed to behave a certain way, to move a certain way. And it's like, in America, if you moving slow, you moving slow. Like, you know better.
You get left behind.
Yeah, like, come on.
Yeah.
Like, time is money. In Ghana, that same time is money, that don't work.
So it's like you got to almost go ahead. The way I've kind of navigated it, I'll go ahead of something. If I know I want to get it done a particular way, I'll say, okay, let me go 2 days ahead or something to prepare myself so I don't have a stroke, like what you said.
Yeah.
So
exactly. So for me, that time is money, or mean like, okay, I'm on a schedule. When I tell you I live my life for years on my calendar where I do things to the minute. I mean, I know what I'm doing from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. and it's on my calendar and it's flowing. My meetings are on time. Then I'm going to the gym. I'm eating at the time I said I'm eating. Okay. I'm doing everything. In Ghana, I had to learn for the first 6 months, just forget about my calendar. Just forget about it. If it rains, forget about what you got going on because it shuts down. And the rainy season and patterns have changed.
Yeah, especially with floods on a crop.
So people don't move in the rain. That's a cultural thing. I didn't get it at first. I would be furious. I would be like steaming in the head when they tell me they're coming and 8 hours passes and they're like, well, Madame, the rain. And I'm like, okay. But I had to also take the time to get to understand the culture and why and where that came from. Why do people not move during the rain? And it's because people have died. People have, experienced extreme things because of the rains will flood. So for their own safety, before the infrastructure was put down, it's a cultural thing. Hey, when it rains, we trying to live. Like many things have happened in the rain. So once I understood the culture and the history, like of why people do what they do, it's like, okay, I get you. I respect that. Yeah, y'all gonna need to come around a bit as you get better infrastructure, but still to this day, there's still a lot of flooding. Right. But for me, the only way that I was able to survive here was to really deep dive into understanding the culture, submersing in the culture, and making friends here.
That's so key because it seems like you have met a new Dawn.
I have. No pun intended.
I know, right? I know. I heard it coming out when I was saying it. That there's a dawning of a new day. The dawning of a new day.
Right. I'm such a less structured, rigid, and by the book.
But it sounds like you were successful being by the book. And
in America.
Would you want to be like that going back to the States, or would you be this new Dawn?
I'm not going back to the States. So the Dawn in Ghana is a little bit more flexible.
Okay. And now, what would you say to someone? Because we're talking about culture and how culturally here in Accra in particular, maybe when it rains, they don't move as much. But then I think about us, Black Americans, how many of us don't travel outside of our geographical regions, and that could be cultural too.
It is, and that's a good point. That's a good one.
When you said it, I was kind of like, we kind of navigate within a certain geographical region, but why? Why do you think I'm just throwing this out here.
We chat, and I've asked people, even my own family, live in the same neighborhood, in the same blocks, in the same houses, for 50 years, 60 years. My daughter's family, they've been living in the same house for 45 years and they're never going to move from there. And I'm like, wow, I can't imagine that. But when I asked them, like, why don't you travel? Why don't you do things? Well, there's nothing there. Everything's in America. I watched your documentary teaser and you said something that really hit home for me. And the word you used was the programming. What did you use?
Indoctrination.
American, but you said
nationalism.
Nationalism. That's the word. And I said, That's it.
That's it.
They program you to think everything you need. This is the best country in the world. Everything you need is here. Why would you go anywhere else? You know, Africa, they have flies and they're starving.
Yeah.
Why would you ever want to go there? You're better than everybody. You're American. You're better than everybody on this planet.
And a lot of people believe that.
And they believe it.
Yeah,
they believe it wholeheartedly. So I say, why are you just in this same city? Why don't you travel? There's nothing. Everything I want's here.
It's
my grandma was here. She did just fine. We've been here this whole time.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, even that's why I didn't marry a Black American man. Not a lot of Black American men are like you, that are global minded. There's more now. There's an awakening.
It's happening. It's starting to see brothers getting out here.
But in general, they don't want to leave their grandmama. They want to leave their mama. I'm moving to Africa. And if somebody want to see me, they can come see me. I'll fly back to see my parents, my grandparents, my family, but I am not going to bind myself to a country that doesn't give a damn about me so I can see my mom or grandma more often. I'm breaking this. We're getting out of here.
And I think that because of stories like yours, stories like mine, and stories others who are getting, I call it the American plantation. That's what I call it. And I kind of made a connection. I was talking to someone, and they said, Jay, you have to remember, during slavery time, if people left the plantation, there was real danger outside of the plantation. So subconsciously, that fear and that mentality has been passed down
to many
DNA.
of us.
Yeah, to say
it's in us. You know, that trauma that's in your DNA that gets passed down, that's real. That's not like a myth. We're only a couple hundred years away from enslavement, and in our lifetime, getting killed, hung, lynched, and can't eat at a counter with people. We have people in our families that experience that.
Absolutely.
So that's a reality.
And do you think that could contribute to the lack of wanting to travel outside of the block,
because they want to be on the block so bad. How hard do they fight to be in them neighborhoods with them whites?
Yeah.
So they're gonna leave to go to Africa. They spent years fighting, marching, and getting killed to live in to buy houses in these neighborhoods, to go to these schools. So I respect. I'm never gonna downplay. I respect what our ancestors and the people before us did to make it easier or better for us to assimilate and be a part of America. And they had to go through so much. So I can understand where they're coming from. But me, I'm like, y'all did all that and then shit really changed. Yeah. I'm leaving.
Yeah, I mean, and
they have lost their life. What else can you do in America? What else can you do? I mean, they've done everything, and we still are in the same place. So,
what do you say about people, Gen Xers and millennials, and then even Gen Z? Because within our generation, and then going into the generation after us, and then the generation after them, there seems to be this disinterest for many. Now, some would come
interest in what?
In the continent of Africa.
Really, you think?
Well, yeah, for a lot of people, especially when, I'll say this, it's not a forefront interest. It's when you kind of put it in front of them, they're like, you know what, inside I really had an interest, but I didn't know how to get there. Yeah. Now, what I'm finding is the people who really have the interest are those baby boomers. Those are the ones who are
now they realizing oh damn, we didn't spend our whole life trying to get this American dream and we about to die. Let's pull up out of here.
That's about as real as the way you said it is about as real as it.
Yeah,
and they'll tell me
out of here
they're like, look, I'm 70, 80 years old. I'm gonna go do what I need to do, and they'll jump on those planes.
And respect to them for doing that. Yeah. Because life is not over until that casket drop. So your guy who was in Cuba in the 90s. Oh yeah. Much respect to that man. That's inspiring.
But the thing is that I have so many people who tell me. Well, a lady yesterday, she came up to me and she said, this is my first time leaving the country, my first time on a plane. And she's well into her 60s. So these are things,
My mother traveled to the continent for the first time this year to Ethiopia. Didn't even come to Ghana yet. Went to Ethiopia on a friend group trip. I'm like, listen, I don't care where you go, Mom. Just get out of there. Just get out of there.
Just go see.
And she really loved it. And now she's coming to Ghana next year. Yeah. So, and she's 65. And it's not too late.
And I think that speaks to what you're doing, all of the stuff, the challenges that you faced. There has to be pioneers that go ahead to say, hey, it's okay. I went through some stuff, but I'm still alive. I'm still, living, and I'm still thriving even with the challenges. Yeah. So now we've talked about that. So as Dawn as a person, you're into the fashion. You're working with Elikam and his wife.
I guess I am now. I'm the face of this. This is a Sasawa collection. So first of all, I'll tell you how I met these guys, because you met them too. You work with them too. Yeah. And a lot of people do work with Elikam and Hajar. And so I literally just moved to Ghana. Just had got here, probably a month. and I Googled tailor. I wanted to do some clothes made. I wanted to also get some things altered. And he came up first. So I guess that's good SEO or whatever. But he had a slogan that said, other African tailors will disappoint you, but Ellie Kim will not disappoint you. I said, that's who I want. Right there.
Mr. Big Brother Africa himself.
I went, and his energy is awesome. You know, we got along right away, and Hajara as well, and their family, and I just vibe with them as friends.
Yeah.
They've also been making clothes for me, you know, and they dressed me for the Emmys. I got top 10 best dressed.
Okay.
And, you know, they just been making things for me. So when they came up with this collection, which is called the Sasawa collection, join, and that means like joining fabrics, they thought I would be a great brand ambassador because of what it represents. So this is one of the pieces, and what they do is they join and combine kente from the regions of Ghana that have kente. So not all regions do have kente, but kente is a very intricate, expensive, you know, it's a heavy, very durable, reliable fabric, because this is before fast fashion. They're weaving and making these fabrics, and they're wearing these fabrics, and they have so much meaning. And so as a part of their effort to be sustainable, they started to collect like offcuts, pieces that were left over, the scraps of the kente. And they said, okay, we're going to recycle this fabric, turn it into something new, but not just that, we're going to combine it from around Ghana. And that's not common. You know, you wear the kente from your region. If you're Asante, you're wearing the Asante cloths. You're not wearing like all the different tribal cloths. So for a person like me and for us we know we have a connection here, DNA. We got our DNA. And yes, I did my DNA African ancestry, and they said I'm from a Khan tribe. But I can't pull up to no village and be like, hey, it's me, I'm back.
Right, no.
So I don't have a tribe exactly, but I feel Ghanaian. And so this represents being a part of all of Ghana for me. So wearing something with all the kente cloths, combining the cultures, really made me feel like, okay, like this is an outfit representing me as a new Ghanaian, and just assimilating into the culture. So yeah, I'm the face of this, and it's available for sale, of course, but it's just, I'm honored that me as an American, now Ghanaian, about to have my citizenship November 19th.
I heard all about it.
It's amazing. So now me as a new Ghanaian, to even have that network where they're making me the face of a brand in this country is.
And you know, Elikim, he's one of a kind, and he's Ewe.
Yes.
And so
from Keta.
Yeah, so he'll let you know.
Region.
That's right. He'll let you know, and you know, he made this Agbada. The green one. This is one that, you know, when I wear it, it shuts the place down. So when I saw what you were doing, I was like, see, Dawn understands.
I love wearing the cloths, you know, like, I love it. I feel so connected.
And that's good. So shout out to Elikim and his lovely wife. You two are doing it, continuing to do it. So proud of you. And more people are coming your way, because anytime I bring in folks, I take them right there to Elikim so they can see. And
this collection is available online. They ship worldwide. So yeah.
There you go.
And they're one-on-one pieces. So like you'll never have the same cloth, because it's like offcuts. So like
they're unique. Everything is unique.
Piece is
you don't
unique.
have to worry about somebody else wearing the same thing.
Every piece is different. Yeah.
So now, all right, so you're doing the fashion.
I'm a Ghana model.
You're a Ghana model. You're doing real estate.
And
we did an interview with you talking about real estate, but you were working with a company at that time.
I was in sales.
You were in sales. But I want to talk about, you know, some of the lessons you've learned in real estate. We've kind of had some conversations, you know, just in our own time, but there are opportunities for people in Ghana, abroad, to come and invest.
Yeah.
But if they don't know what to do or how to navigate it, they can find themselves in some pretty unsavory situations where they're getting scammed, they're getting, you know, sending money to people without doing proper due diligence. They're going in. And so what happens is people will go on YouTube and other social media outlets, and you'll see, you know, 10, 15 videos. I got scammed in Ghana this, you know, Ghana that, and the other. But what I'm starting to do is to focus on, because there are a lot of success stories. For as many failures.
So many success stories.
It's like it.
But see, when you're successful, you out here doing the work and being successful. You're not sitting up here making these stupid YouTube videos complaining. That's why. Right. We're too busy making money. We're too busy out here making moves. I don't even have time.
So that's something
to talk about my story on the YouTube. That's why I'm here with you, so I can get it out, because I don't even have time.
So let's talk about you in real estate, and because you are a real estate developer, if you will.
Yes, gone into development.
So you've gone into development. What makes one, why would you even get into development in Ghana with all the lessons that you've learned?
I want punishment small.
You just a glutton for punishment. Just keep going back for more, right? But it's one of these things where in the conversation that I had with you, I was very impressed with your understanding of infrastructure, building, the quality of building, when you look at the finished work and you see how it's supposed to look. And then you were showing me some pictures of some places that were just built a year ago, but the quality was falling apart. And then then I was like, well, a lot of people come here, they want to do it cheap. So they're like, ooh, I can go get a piece of land.
I'm in Africa. I'm going to get a cheap house built in Africa.
Without knowing. So
cheap ain't good and good ain't cheap.
That's real, especially here, because you can find something cheap, but then you'll be disappointed later. So, but what I noticed is that you had an understanding of how to go about creating a system where someone coming from the West can find, and what you're developing has certain things in place, like infrastructure.
Yes.
You've thought it through, and you've brought in builders who are qualified. Not just some builders, some random builders say, I can put some bricks up or blocks up, and I can. So tell us a little bit about how you got into that and why you're so meticulous with your development.
So, again, the journey started with me just looking for my own stuff. So I have a certain standard that I want for myself. It all started out with me. So when I bought my land, and I said, okay, I got my land in Ghana, check, it's legit, no scams, registered, it's my land, no problem. So there's one success story right there. But now I need a house built. Now, our Ghanaian brothers and sisters, primarily our Ghanaian brothers, they can build a house. But everybody that can build a house, not a developer. And there's certain things you need to do to actually develop communities and position your house where it's going to last for a really long time. So when I was going around looking for somebody to build my house, I'm looking at stuff and I'm like, nah, that's not what I want. I don't like your work. Like, I'm bougie. I want my stuff high end. I want it affordable. I don't want cheap. I want it affordable.
Right.
Affordable is relative to what you're getting and what's reasonable market value. You're not going to just get over on me, but I don't mind paying for quality. So I couldn't find anybody. I didn't see one single house or builder that was building the style that I like, that was using materials that I want to have as my family home. See, concrete is hot. Cement. You get a big cement house, it's a lot to cool that house. Okay. And Ghana is very hot.
Okay.
So I knew the big thing for me was sustainability and something that the materials were more breathable and thermal mass is what they call it. I couldn't find anybody to do that. I just knew what I wanted. Like, I'm building like my dream home, right? Like, I have thought about this for years. I know what I want it to be like. So I'm not gonna just throw it up and just whatever people can do, that's what they can do. So I said, no, I'm not building my house. I'm gonna find somebody to build my house. So I put it on hold. And that's where the patience came in. Yeah, I want my house built, but I'm not gonna just build anything because that's who's around. No. So I started to do deep research. That's when I went out and said, the only way to really know this game is to work in the system. And I went and got a job at DevTraco. And at one of the top real estate developers in Ghana. So I can get into the company, understand what materials really cost. I mean, I'm looking at the budgets. I know what stuff costs. Who are the who's who around here? Who do I not do business with? How does the system work? What is this? So I'm a student. I studied. I was deep in it for 6 months, and it doesn't take me too long to figure stuff out. And traveling around Ghana, looking at new developments and projects all over Ghana, seeing how they're building, the styles of building, and looking at the floors and the corners and what I call the Ghana steps, where one step's this size, one step's this size, the next step's this size, the next step's this size. Things like where the tuck points are not there, where the tile's not touching, all these small things where it'd be okay for them, but it's not going to be okay for me. It's all about me. Like, I want to live in a certain way. So that's how I really learned it from my working at DevTraco. And the reason I even stopped working there was because I really was ready to branch off on my own. They're building high rises and luxury. And I realized, like, I want to help. Like, everybody can't come and buy an apartment. They don't want an apartment. They want homes. A lot of our people have land and they're buying land and they want to build a home. They don't want to go buy an apartment. They're trying to get their dream home. So I want to help them. So that's what made me pivot to that. And then when I realized there's nobody in Ghana that's doing exactly what I want, I said, who in the world is doing it? And I found the Remtech team in South Africa online from doing deep research.
So you brought a team from South Africa.
They moved here.
Now some people don't know the difference between Ghana and South Africa. They hear Africa and they think that, oh, this, that's Africa. But South Africa is literally like a 8-hour flight away.
Yeah, it's far.
It's far. I mean, it's...
Ghana's 54 countries. South Africa's far. But they're doing this South African rammed earth technique using clay, dirt, sand, sustainable materials. They're building beautiful, beautiful homes. So like I said, I really wanted to focus on sustainability. This is a home that I want to make my family home. I knew I wanted to be off-grid. I knew I wanted to be solar. I didn't want to be on anybody's, off-grid, nobody's water system. I wanted my own water source. So I knew I wanted to build a certain kind of home, and I wanted it to be where I didn't have to spend so much on like keeping it cool, cooling it. So that's when I discovered rammed earth. I was just deep diving into sustainable building practices. So there's like rammed earth, there's eco brick, there's containers, but it's not sustainable. Like they're hot, they're metal, take a lot of work. People throwing a solar panel onto a concrete home doesn't also make it sustainable. I really was like, how can I get to a zero carbon footprint home? How can I actually come here and positively impact this environment? And that's when I found rammed earth, which is a ancient technique. Great Wall of China is built with it. Many, many buildings around the world are built with it. What's
the process of rammed earth? To me, sounds like they take some earth, and they ram it together.
Exactly.
And they make a brick out of it, a block.
Period. They build the whole house though. So instead of building blocks, right now, I'm sure they make the blocks at the block factory. They make the cement blocks and they bring the blocks to site, or you can also make your blocks on site and they make the blocks. And then you have to form those blocks. No, with rammed earth, you mix a combination of sand, you pull the dirt off the ground. So the materials cost automatically go down about 30 to 40% because you're using the dirt off the ground. Okay?
No transport, anything.
Then you're mixing a little bit of cement, about maybe 5 to 10% cement for stabilizer. You're mixing in with sand. You're mixing in clay, and however you want it to look, because it has a very beautiful luxury look because you're ramming it. So ramming, all it means is instead of building the blocks and bringing them over, you just build the house on site. Like you just ram it down. They build these shutters and you just put the dirt and the cement and mix it, and they just ram it down. And it
creates blocks.
It creates the wall solid.
Oh wow!
So no blocks. You're building solid walls.
Oh wow!
No separation. That means you never have to plaster it. It's finished. As soon as you take the shutters down, the wall is finished.
Interesting.
Yeah. So with bricks, you have to put the bricks down, then plaster them, then paint them, then this and that. No, ram it in, take off the shutters, spray some water on it. It's done.
Very interesting. And so then
it's done.
So what has
very low maintenance, it's waterproof, mold-proof, fireproof. It lasts thousands of years. Thermal mass takes 13 hours for the temperature to change in the house. So once you cool it, it's cooled. You turn the AC on, cool it, turn it off, it's staying cool. If our AC went off right now, in 5 minutes we'd be sweating.
Oh yeah,
because cement is not breathable.
Interesting. So that's an education, like you said. What's really fascinating is how you went and you worked for the company, the real estate development company, and you learned the system.
Yes.
And learning the system, I think if that in and of itself is a lesson.
Yes.
It speaks to mindset to say, okay, I'm gonna get in this system and I'm gonna figure out the cost of the materials, how they flow, who not to deal with, who to deal with. And then you take that knowledge and now you're able to incorporate that into what your own company and your own experience.
Yeah, and it's a partnership. Remtech moved here. Their whole team, they moved here to partner with me, and it's a partnership. I do the business side, business development, marketing, sales, project management, and they do the building. And it's great because I take that paperwork off of his hands, and then of course I can't build a house.
Right. So they're focused on building, handle admin.
It's a beautiful relationship. We're currently now at this very second, we're building 8 houses. We're starting with the first 8, and we have 23 that we're building.
And you already have clients that you're building homes for?
Yes, I sold them their land. This is in Asebu. That was where I bought my land. I chose to buy in Asebu because of the Pan-African village, because it's in Central Region. I love Central Region because I really love the chief and his vision for Asebu, and I want to help with that. So for me, I said, I refuse to just build a house. We must build infrastructure. We're building communities. So if I work with you, we're building the house, the sewer system, the road, the sidewalk. We're putting in boreholes. We're doing the solar. Like, you're going to have a neighborhood. We're doing a neighborhood. We're not just putting a house sitting on dirt and then just, when you're not in your house, you're just bumping around on dirt and mud roads. No, we're putting the roads down. Everybody paid. My model is we all pay a certain percentage to put the roads down. So transparency. We spent $2,000 a person, and we're putting roads in that whole place, all through a Cebu. And we didn't even ask other people for the money. Now, I'm not the only person out there that owns land. We own 55 plots. They've sold over 600 plots. We're still putting in land. We're still putting in roads. And we're not even going to ask anybody, oh, give me some money for these roads. We're just putting in the roads, because that's what community building is. I was a part of like a group chat for a Cebu, and I don't care, I'm going to say it. And they were in this group chat arguing. That we all know we need roads out there. It's a new community. It was farmland. It needs roads. The chief already done so much. It's time for us to pick up. They're arguing about who's going to pay for the roads. Oh, well, we got to charge somebody for these roads. Well, what if we put the roads in and somebody else drives on them with to pay tolls? While y'all arguing, we already done cleared and built roads. Interesting. Still arguing. Interesting. Who's gonna? It's like a little red hen. Who's gonna help me make this? Who's gonna eat? Not I. Who's gonna help me eat the cake? I'm here for my legacy. I'm doing the work. Everybody can eat the cake. I don't care. And that's an interesting philosophy, because it sounds like if you are able to create a community with all of these things in place, it makes it an easier transition for someone who may be coming from the West. And then it also makes it where you're not a hypocrite. But that's pioneer work, see? Everybody want to be a pioneer, and so you got to do the pioneer work. Sometimes to spend that money, that's when you find out. That's pioneer work. Yeah. And they need people like me and you. See, we talk about our retirees, which they're here to retire. They're on a fixed income. They're here to chill. They're here to enjoy. They're here to, connect. Yeah. Our young people, we need more young people to come and be a part, but we need more people like us who are successful business owners. We have capital to invest and to help contribute, partner with Ghanaians, and help to, build the infrastructure that you're talking about. Yeah. We have to do that. We can't wait for people to do it for us. So. But the thing that you talk about, which is also important, we see the challenges. And I can say this, we see the infrastructure with the roads, and we see, a lot of the different things going on. But I think everyone sees it. Nobody's blind. But every road ain't bad, though. I don't want everybody to think every road is bad. Not at all. It depends on the neighborhoods. Yeah, it depends on the neighborhood. On the day-to-day, I don't ride on a bad road. I live in Chado. My circle is like Chado. I live. No, the roads are all good. It's a new neighborhood. Okay. All good. Smooth. Like we're used to. Yeah. I go to play tennis every day by military, by 37. Good roads. I don't deal with no bad roads. I go to airport residential for things that I need. All good roads, no problem. Go to Ridge for meetings, no problem. So there's only, you can live a life in Accra. Right. Keyword Accra. And even Cape Coast has good roads. Yeah. It was a former capital. Yeah, going out that way, yeah. So you can live a life in Accra where you can pretty much be comfortable. Oh, you can be very comfortable in the crowd. The East Lagoon roads are hell, and the Drinking-On. The East Lagoon was hell. Oh, wow. Those are the roads that are the worst roads, I feel like. They're just... But the thing about it is that as people are coming and they're hearing and they're learning, you're going to have the infrastructure put in place. They got to. Yeah, it's eventually, obviously, because they're attracting so many people from so many different places, from, Europe, from America, Cantonment roads are smooth, Laboni. Yeah. Cantonment, where the embassies, the areas, they make sure them roads are smooth. Very nice roads over there. So, listen, it comes down to, Ghana's not a place of racism. We know this. It's not a racist place. It's class. Very much so. It's about money. Yes. If you have money, you can live well. Yes. If you don't have money, you're not going to live well. Very true. That's it. Yeah, because I come here and I see people, I see Asians, I see Lebanese, I see Indians, I see British, and they live very well. Right. They live the life of their dreams. But you must have money when you come. It's not the place to come and hustle your way into it. No. And for some reason, Americans think they can be unsuccessful in America and then come to Ghana and hit it big. If you can't survive in America, my brother, my sister, don't come.
if
you can't make it here.
If you can't do it in America,
you can't make it in America. You can't make it here.
You can't make it really anywhere because everything is laid out for you.
Exactly.
Every opportunity is there. It may be mindset or whatever, but some people say, "Yeah, I'm just going to move to Ghana. I'm giving up all my U.S.
I'm gonna figure
income." I'm like, okay, go.
I'm gonna do group tours. Well, guess what, you guys? There's enough people doing tours. Don't nobody need no more tours to Ghana. Do you hear me? Okay, don't do another tour. My brother here, he got tours. We know this. It's another 100 people with a tour. Stop.
Oh, they're coming.
Starting tours.
But, well, sometimes people think it's easy, and they think it's I can get somebody to come, but then
that's the hustle.
They get some of these Negroes over here.
Land. And most of the time, the land. The Americans, they didn't come here and hack their way. Like, where do you do business and you don't get an attorney involved? They do that here in Ghana. They be buying land, transacting business, doing contracts, doing agreements with not one single lawyer in sight.
I don't know what happens.
This is not the bush. There are lawyers.
Yes, there are lawyers.
You need to have lawyers involved in every transaction. So people who tell me they get scammed, I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry because why?
Yeah, I don't feel bad when I hear the scam stories of someone who just sent money to someone and didn't even have a conversation with the person, and they just looked at an email and they sent the money off. Like one lady, the story, she went and sent like her life savings because she thought that someone was legit. And then when she finally talked to the lady was like, we've never met each other. We've never had a conversation. And so she had the realization like, I just sent the money to someone. So you don't
Would you do that in America? Would you be sitting on your couch in Alabama and send somebody some money in New York without knowing them? Like, why would you get to a whole nother continent and do things like that? So for me, I go by the book. The reason why we're even moving slow with our build, I'm going by the book. These black people in Ghana, they go buy land and put a house on it. Where do you do that in America?
When we come back, the conversation continues. But first, a special message from one of our sponsors. Join Darren and Destiny, twin explorers, on an epic journey across the African diaspora. From Ghana to Tanzania, Ethiopia, Brazil, and beyond. Their adventures uncover the beauty, history, and culture of these countries, changing the way children see the world. Dive into the adventures of Darren and Destiny now.
Where there's permits required, there's registration required. Yes, it could take you 2 years to register your land and have it in your name. It's taken me a year.
Yeah.
That means you gotta wait.
Yeah, I've told people.
You have to get a permit.
Yeah.
You don't just go start building.
No.
There's a process here. Ghana is a country with laws and rules.
Yeah.
Maybe they don't do it like we do it. Maybe they don't move as fast as us, but they do have a system, and the system does work.
And it talks about that patience, the patience that you referenced, because I'll meet people coming over and they're so impatient and they just want to.
And with a little CDs, a little USD, you can speed up the process.
You can do a whole lot with that. But then that's when we become all righteous. I don't know if I want to do that. I'm like, okay, well, this is a different culture. This is how they operate here.
Yes, it does.
Either you want to move, if you want the microwave situation, then you're going to have to pay for the microwave situation.
They get so upset, like, oh, I'm not going to pay. Okay, well, then you stay right there.
And somebody else will be building, because some people put up buildings in less than a year.
Of course.
I mean, like major, like 14, 15 unit buildings in a year's time, because they understand how this culture operates. But, I see people living their best lives in Accra. I see them living in Cape Coast, in Kumasi, in Tamale, in Takoradi, in different places. And it's like, because when you speak at a class, I see the class differences. I was over by Bellagio. And I saw an Asian family come out with a little baby strapped around, and they were just chilling, doing their thing. And you got, a lot of us Black Americans afraid to come, having prayer vigils because somebody's going to Africa. They're going, we better pray for you going to Africa now. You going on over there.
I'm sad they did that to us.
It's a real,
about our own motherland.
Or people will come and they'll see people living their traditional African ways, Ghanaian ways, or Ashanti, or whatever, or Ewe, or Fanti, or whatever. And they'll look at them like, ooh, they're doing something. Ooh, that's witchcraft. And it's
meanwhile, they're debt free. They own all their stuff, and they're not up there stressed out about debt. They own everything you see a Ghanaian with. They own it.
And that is the part. But then even
that's their land, that's their house, that's their car. They're not paying a car note.
Oh, they're feeling sorry for them. Oh, look. Oh, I feel so sorry for these people. It just helps me to realize how good I have it. And I think to myself, I said, I understand on some level where that mindset comes from. But then I thought about, I said, they're not dealing with the GMO here. So in other words, they don't have lab-grown chickens. No. They don't have the altered watermelons that are rubbery and the altered bananas that
seeds.
No seeded, to have watermelons with seeds here. So you start thinking to yourself.
Pharmaceuticals is not big here. The natural healing is big here.
Yeah, it's big. It's very big here. And so you see all of this. And I said, I wonder if we really have it as good as we think. But it goes back to that nationalism.
Yeah.
Because I'll have conversations with people trying to tell me how bad it is.
You
and
talked about that pledge allegiance to that flag. I said, whoa.
Oh, yeah. Oh, this thing?
And I did it.
It's going to be deep. Oh, it's going to...
And I did it every day.
We all did it. We all did it, and we have been so programmed, the word that you use, to have a white supremacy mindset in brown bodies, but yet complain about racism. So it's like we have these conflicts in our minds without realizing we're behaving the same way. So we come and we look at people and look down on them because of the class, which has been then morphed into subtle racism. It's a weird kind of dynamic, and it's something that once you start tapping into it, you want to break free. You want to go and explore more. You want to see, because you know that there's something else that they didn't. When I say they, meaning the cultural, educational, societal systems that we come from, there's something else they didn't teach us. And so now, like what you're doing, you're a pioneer, you're coming to learn, you're carving out.
I'm investing, I'm taking L's, but L's are lessons, but definitely spending a lot of money to get those lessons. And my hope is that the lessons that I am learning, I could pass on so that other people can have a softer landing. Yeah. That's what pioneer work is about.
All right, let's talk about this. I hear a lot of people coming over, and you can walk this down however you want to. A lot of people are coming over, and they come in December because they hear about all of the action that's going on. So and I have had people come on my tours, and they've come here and gotten married in their 70s. One lady came 71, and she found her man, and here she is doing her thing. How would you advise someone coming to Ghana as far as that particular scene? I don't know if you call it a dating scene or whatever. How would you advise them to proceed? Because some people come just as naive as they come in with the real estate market. They also come in naive with the other market. How would you advise someone, or would you advise them?
Don't come here too green, I'm not going to say anything negative about Ghanaians, people coming to marry, coming to date. No, I date. I'm going to end up marrying a Ghanaian. I love it here. Okay. So, it's a different culture, but I had to learn that Ghana love. That Ghana love is like, I love you after 2 days.
Okay.
So it's real. Like, you really be in love and get married in a week. It's actually a real thing. And I'm not going to say that it's just about citizenship. I've seen too many good relationships happen that are not about citizenship. But sometimes you do have that. We see that show, 90 Day Fiancé.
Yes, we're
actually
familiar.
Recently came to Ghana. The 90 Day Fiancé was in Ghana.
Oh, no.
He called it off anyway. But those things happen too. But get to know people. Like, if you wouldn't just hop up and marry somebody in the States, you hop up and marry somebody in another country. Get to know people, understand their culture. But it's really horrific to me how other countries, specifically America, won't let Ghanaians come. I always tell my Ghanaian friends, you don't want to go there. It's not all of that, but they want to go.
Yeah, go see for themselves. It's kind of like
I went to. My friend Hannah had a speed dating event here in Ghana, and I participated. I thought it'd be fun, and I was supporting her. So I sat down and speed dated with 9 different Ghanaian men. Okay. I had a little 3-minute session. So I'm just chatting. I got 3 minutes, and my thing is travel. I'm a traveler. So if you want to date me, I need to talk to you about travel. So and I asked them all, so do you travel? What do you like to do? And every one of them, actually only one had traveled. All of them say, I've traveled around Ghana. Maybe I've been to Dubai, which where they'll let them go visa free. But they don't let us travel. They won't let you, the countries won't let them come. You know, so how do you get a bigger opportunity? See, we take for granted this blue passport, that we can go anywhere in the world and do business and do whatever we want. But them, it's like they're keeping them here where they can't leave. And sometimes if your only way out is to marry somebody, I would be doing it.
Yeah, I'm sure we would all be.
I would be marrying somebody.
Yeah.
I would do whatever it takes, because it's not right. You know, it's not right that the other countries discriminate against Ghanaians the way that they do, you know. And I didn't even realize it until I really started to get into the culture, but it comes down to class as well. You know, if you're a wealthy Ghanaian, you can travel. If you are up and coming, they don't let you leave. So how do you get out of poverty? Yeah. If you can't expand your horizons and try. You know, so I'm not mad at them. If y'all dumb enough to marry somebody who really don't love you,
there's a lot of that going on. Well, they do that in the States, so yeah, that's a real thing.
My Ghanaian brother, get your citizenship if that's what you want. If these ladies aren't doing their research, I feel bad. I feel bad for anybody that don't do their research.
What is that due diligence? It's like the same thing as getting scammed as far as sending your money in. If you just marry somebody just because.
There's good men here. I like the men here. I'm not gonna say nothing.
Well, I've heard success stories. Again, you hear the horror stories, but then I've seen success stories. And so the lady I was telling you about at 71 who got married a few years ago, she's still married.
I like my dating life.
So that's the thing. So is it a legitimate, decent dating? Well, you know what? You have street smarts about you.
You know, 8 out of 10 single men are also married in Ghana.
Okay. Oh.
8 out of 10 single men are also married.
Yeah, that's why I had to pause for a second. I looked up. I was like, oh.
Yeah, you heard me.
Okay.
They're single and they're actively dating.
Now, are they a part of the polygamy lifestyle?
I wouldn't call it polygamy.
They're just straight up lying, playing games.
And unique culture where it's, because they're Christian, so that's against their religion. Most of them are Christian. If they're Muslim, obviously they are allowed to have multiple wives and they're living that separate life. But no, it's usually the Christian husbands that are also actively dating. So you gotta watch out for that, ladies. Make sure, I asked. I didn't used to ask, but I used to assume, if we're on a whole date and we're on a whole vacation, you're single.
But that's the U.S.
I literally was on a whole vacation with a man and didn't know he was married because he said he was divorced.
Oh, he said it?
Yeah, this one.
And then he lied.
He lied. Yeah, okay, but then there's others, what happens. But then there's others who just leave it out. Just leave it out.
Omission. Yeah,
Omission.
Okay.
So just make sure you really ask, are you married? And then there's a little tricky thing that I had to learn.
Okay.
There's 2 types of marriages. There's a traditional marriage and a white wedding. And so the white wedding is like the colonized version. So remember in our culture, Black culture, jump the broom, you're married.
Yes.
You have your Bible, your family, you write it in your Bible, jump the broom and you're married. Okay, that's before marriage licenses and all of that. Yes. That was in the 30s. Marriage licenses weren't around in the States. You jump the broom, you get married in church.
Got it.
Same as Ghana. In Ghana, you have a traditional ceremony. That's what we see on Instagram, where they have their clothes and it looks so beautiful. And then, all the traditional things that they do as a part of their culture. But then, as a part of their democracy, now they have a marriage license. So that's called the white wedding. So you do a traditional ceremony where you go, you bring your gifts to the family, you do your whole traditional thing. You ask for the hand of the woman and you do a family ceremony and you're married. But it doesn't make you legally married. And so you go down to get a marriage license and then have that other ceremony. So what a lot of guys will do is they'll say they're not married because they only had a traditional ceremony and they didn't get married on paper. So I ran across a couple of those, where it's oh yeah, we did the traditional, but we didn't do the white wedding. We're not getting a marriage license. Bruh, if you took some goats to her dad, that's your wife.
So that's marriage. Oh.
If you took the drinks to the house,
that is the marriage.
That's your wife.
Interesting.
But they'll play with you like that. Ladies, ask, did you have a traditional marriage?
Come on with it.
And ask if you had a white wedding. There's so many things you have to figure out. The culture.
See, right there, you just saved somebody a whole lot or somebody just realized they hooked up with somebody who's
they're whole married in the village. They whole married in a village and in Accra. I haven't had a guy tell me, listen, I'm married in London and Dubai, but I'm not married in Ghana. So call me.
So what does that mean exactly?
That.
So you got a wife in London, got a wife in Dubai.
He has a wife in London, and obviously she also is in Dubai. That's where his wife is. But I can be his Ghana.
Oh, wow.
Lady. And if you go along with that program, you can. Yeah.
I mean, sisters out here, they would go along. Some people
go along with whatever you want, but make sure you know what you're going along with is the thing. I'm not judging anybody for doing anything they do. Just be aware. Educate. And consent.
Right. So at least
I don't consent to dating a married man. Right. I don't consent. Don't trick me into it.
So then that's consent is what's going to be what you determine. And then Dawn is putting you on game as far as, here's some questions.
Have you had a traditional wedding? And they'd be like, oh.
So what they should make sure they have is a white wedding, or is the traditional?
If you took some drinks to the lady daddy, that's your wife.
Okay, so that's the deal.
I don't care if you have a marriage license or not.
So the marriage, and that's another. I was going to go there, but you cleared it up.
Yeah.
Because even if it's traditional, it's still legitimate because
your family's there.
Because what I've heard people say, well, the traditional marriage is not legitimate until they have the white. But I'm saying, that's the colonizer. So the colonizers.
So that's how the men will try to play it. But it's about family. Marriage has always about been uniting families up until the 1930s when they came up with this marriage license idea.
Right. That's what I was saying.
Police and charge and monitor marriages. Before that, you're dumping the broom, or you're going to your church, or you're doing whatever thing that your culture does. So
that's good. That's good knowledge.
There's a lot of gray areas in Ghana. You have to really learn.
But I think that's even continent wide too, because I've seen that scenario in Kenya. I've seen it in South Africa, different places. It just depends because you have the systems. You have some traditional indigenous systems that are big into polygamy. So they'll have multiple wives, like the Maasai people. He has the village, and then you have multiple wives, and then you have it in Nigeria. Yoruba culture. So you see that, but to have an understanding, I think that what it is we don't have an understanding of what we're getting into, and then it makes it an easy playground for whoever wants to play the game.
And you're unsuspecting, nice-looking American lady. They want to chop.
Tired of the U.S. Tired of coming over. Tired of the U.S. But then. And tired of dealing with the men in the U.S.
And they're going to tell you they love you after the second date. So you're feeling, especially coming from a black culture where a lot of times a black American woman be like, where do we stand? Like, this situationship, do we go together? Are we together? Like, what are we doing? We've been kicking it. What are we doing? No, a Ghanaian man will tell you he loves you in a second date. And then what you going to do?
So could that... this is going down a whole different road. So with that,
what is this interview about?
we just chatting now.
We're chatting. I was like, it's not an interview. We had no questions.
I know. I had no questions. None of this was in the plan. I'm just sitting up here, vibing. But you're right though, because then if you're coming over, and I think I've seen it. I know a lot of fellas that come over, Black American men. Some brothers say, yeah, man, I got my wife over here, and they send me the picture, and I know at least 3 brothers that have come over, and one brother, his wife is in the U.S. with him now.
Nice.
One brother just hit me up. He said, man, 2 weeks ago, he said, he sent me the picture of him and his wife. So it's a very interesting.
There's great success stories.
And that's the thing. There are great success stories because people have jokes and say, oh, yeah, I'm not going to go over to 90-day fiance. And then before you know it, they're like, well, no, I'm not even going to explore. I tell the brothers all the time. I said, well, what you're looking for, maybe you're looking for the sisters in the States. Mm-hmm. However, it might not have worked out for you, but there's a whole world out here that you might want to consider outside of South America and Colombia.
Right.
Outside of that, there's a whole world outside of those places that you could explore. And so when brothers hear that, and sometimes these are the brothers that might have had a hard time in the U.S. They might not have been that dude, and they were trying to keep up with
most aren't.
Yeah, and so they come and they find, and I've seen that happening.
I've seen it a lot.
Yeah, so it's very
so fellas, if you want to come get treated like a king, maybe the Black American women didn't appreciate you, maybe they didn't treat you good because we're very capitalist focused. You can get you a nice Ghana girl.
Well, that's that culture we come up in, that nationalism. It kind of goes back through that whole thing.
I'm all about the co-mixing. I love it.
Okay. Because that breaks down some of the walls of what was intended. Because now you're coming and you're seeing the culture, and it's a very, when you expand your mind, you expand the possibilities, and you don't. And again, you just don't know what you don't know until you hear something. So I'm glad to hear that some advice.
I love it. My Ghana social life is great. My Ghana dating life is great. I'm very fulfilled. here. I'm very happy. I eat, my food is good. I'm well taken care of. My laundryman, my cook, my driver, my cleaner. You know, I get very affordable massages. My nails stay done. Hair, eyelashes.
Shoot, the sister's coming over right now. They're getting on the plane.
Happy.
They're like, girl, this election, I'm
so happy.
gone. I'm moving right now. And, you know, I think that it's important. That's why pioneering is not just about building houses. That's one part. But then understanding how someone can assimilate into the culture and find those other emotional elements that are important. Obviously the food, the fashion, and we've touched on all this, even from the dating standpoint, if that's something they want to do. But for retirees who may or may not be into, you know, dating, maybe they are.
It's an active retiree scene, though. You know, AAAG, African American Association of Ghana, they have so many events and activities, and mainly, you know, you see a lot of the elders there, of course, but there's a very vibrant community to socialize at every age group here.
Wow. I mean, this has been really a great conversation. And again, this was totally off the cuff. I didn't sit here and, all right, when I asked Dawn, I said, hey, you know, when are we going to sit down and have a conversation? Because, you know, we've been kind of crossing paths. She's in the documentary, her insight. So that was like a formal sit down interview. But I was like, you know what, while I'm here, because, you know, I'm always in and out, and you're moving around, I said, since we have each other, let's get the cameras, let's sit down and talk. So as we get ready to wrap this up, what words of encouragement would you have for someone who is just kind of at that 40-year-old phase? They resonate with everything you said. They've been on the grind, they've built, maybe they've raised a family, maybe they're, who knows, you know, they're at this point where they need some sort of reboot in their life. What would you say to that person?
I'd say take the leap, you know, like especially if you raise your kids, you know, or even maybe you don't have any and you want to come and maybe meet your match, you know, but I say take that risk. It's worth it. I definitely say don't come over here with no money, because it's expensive to figure it out and get established. But don't let fear stop you. You know, don't let the nationalism. The nationalism discourage you. Don't watch too much YouTube unless it's his channel, because of there's a lot of mess out there. And I don't watch YouTube because it can make you feel. It can cloud your own judgment. You know, you don't want to take on anybody else's journey, even mine. You know, take that I'm having a good experience, but I've also had negative things happen. But it's something you have to experience for yourself. Coming to the continent is a very personal journey. It's not there's no blueprint. That's why it's a beautiful thing. Everybody coming now is basically doing is a pioneer, is in the beginning.
It's their own subjective experiences.
So just try it. You know, I recommend, like I tell all my clients who don't live here, come for a month. Live here for a month, rent a place in a neighborhood. Don't stay in a Kempinski or no hotel. Live in a neighborhood, see what it's like to go to the grocery store, get your hair cut, hair done, nails done, go out to eat, laundry, like get the life experience. If you have children, like, you know, take them to the school, see the different activities for them, and come not as a tourist, but trying to fill it out and see, can you really live here? That's what I did. And I said, okay, I can really live here. But don't let your family discourage you. Don't let anybody tell you African scammers. No, there's more scammers in America, I'm sure, than there are over here.
Absolutely.
So don't let any of the negativity discourage you. Do your due diligence. Don't take anybody's word for anything, and you'll be fine. Yeah.
Well spoken from a pioneer, Dawn Dickson, real estate developer, fashion expert.
Hey.
Food connoisseur, speed dating expert. Oh man, you know, this has really been a good conversation, and I'm glad we were able to make this happen today. Because I'm telling you, there are people who will take this and be able to make a decision, whether to stay in the U.S. or whether to at least explore and see what other possibilities are out there. So I commend you for the work that you've been doing. I commend you for enduring all of the hardships across the board. But, you know, you were created to be able to do that for someone else. So that will help other people land or have a smoother landing wherever they decide to go. where can we find you? Where can we learn more about your real estate development, everything that you have going on?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram, LinkedIn a lot, and then my website, dawndickson.me, but I'm Dawn Dickson, Dickson on everything. For my real estate, I'm really focusing on just developing in Cebu. So if you're in Cebu now listening and you have land, I would love to help you build for very affordable luxury. That's really what I'm focused on right now. I'm not really selling much else. Obviously, just making sure the address gets delivered and we all get our condos in there.
Yes,
but
yes.
I'm really locked in on that. But use me as a resource. You can reach out to me. I'm always happy to help, to give advice. I want to be that person that people know they can trust. It's hard to trust people.
Yes.
And even somebody that we can trust. It's nice to have you here. Thank you for using your platform to share our stories, to be a trusted space, a safe space for us, and be objective. Like, you tell it all. You'll talk about the good, the bad, and everything, and it's so important. So thank you for the work you do as well on this continent. And I just am excited to see where we both are in 5 years.
That's right.
Can we sit down again in 5 years?
In 5 years, we're going to come back and have this conversation and see what stories and lessons we've learned. I felt a little nervous when you said that because I was like, ooh, more lessons. But you know what? I wouldn't trade the journey because even with the pain, the joy that comes, I feel like I'm preaching now. Yes. Joy cometh in the morning.
Yes.
I feel like,
because we're in Africa, we did it.
Yeah, and
like we did it.
Everything that was intended. Every time I go to a dungeon in any part of the continent, and I understand the plan, and I come back, and I say the plan by me coming back, or whoever, however, whether people come through me to come back, that plan. That's one less success story for that plan, and one more new story. It's like it changes the whole trajectory for the next generation. Exactly. And they won't even realize it because 200 years from now we won't be here, but it'll be a different mindset that we played a small part in changing. So that's the beautiful part.
It is. It makes me feel good. It's worth it.
All right, everybody, you have heard from Miss Dawn Dickson, and you can find her on IG, but keep up with her and all of her many adventures, because you'll see, maybe, as you follow her, you'll see where she's building homes. You'll see the different things that she has going on the fashion scene with Elicum. And then, who knows what's next? You might definitely look out for her on the documentary that we're producing called Ghana, The Awakening. And it's going to be a whole bunch of awakening.
I was touched off the trailer.
The trailer has touched a lot of people.
Fire.
So that's on the way. But again, if you want to reach out to Dawn, definitely reach out to her on her IG channel.
DawnDickson.me.
And DawnDickson.me, her website. All the information is right below. So until next time, everybody, take care, be safe, and we hope that you get outside of the